Good morning. I'm Christine Sullivan, Wholesale Marketing Rep at Sprague.
And I'm Joel Williams, Director of Refined Product Sales here at Sprague.
Welcome to Sprague's Refined Product Review, where we share what's moving the market and insights we see every day. Well, Joel, what's the update for the war this week?
Yeah, so for the last week, we've seen the market's been sort of up and down, but stuck in a band. And what we're really seeing right now take place is it's really a game of economic chicken between the U.S. and Iran. And what the U.S. is trying to accomplish here is clearly to cut off any type of revenue from oil for Iran, as well as keep any goods coming in or out to Iran. And on the flip side, Iran's doing the same thing to the U.S. They're trying to cut off any product coming through the strait to go anywhere in the world. Basically, trying to force the price of oil to go up and to create a world recession. If this blockade continues, Iran is just going to run out of storage. And at some point, when you run out of storage, you got to cap the wells. And capping wells is not something, it's not like a water spigot. You don't just turn it on and turn it off. Once the wells are capped, it's going to take a long time to potentially get those wells to start up, if they'll ever start up again. So not only you've now taken the blockade, which has cut off Iran's oil revenues for the time being. Now, if you cap the wells, you're going to have a period of start ramp up again. So really, you've extended that time period for no Iranian oil to be making it to market, and for Iran not to be getting money from that oil. On the flip side, what's at stake for the U.S. and the rest of the globe is the fact that there is a shortage coming. If this continues at its current pace, there will be a shortage of oil, meaning that there will be places that will be asking for oil, and at no price will they be able to get it, which is a very scary thought.
When does this shortage of oil come?
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly when it comes, but it's definitely coming at some point in the near future. When you look at it today, the world's consuming more oil each day than the amount of oil that's actually making to the market. And this is the tune to about 5 to 13 million barrels per day shortage between demand and supply. So the way we're making up for that currently is with storage, and storage is being drawn down from both suppliers who have product in tank,
Right.
as well as from the SPRs around the world. China, the U.S., many different countries have these SPRs. Uh, Analysts are thinking at this point that it's maybe 4 to 8 weeks at the current pace until those storages are depleted, until we get to the point where we're actually at a shortage. And so, because the reality is at some point that storage runs out, 5 to 13 million barrels a day just keeps adding up and up. And the other issue we face is, particularly in the U.S., is Memorial Day is right around the corner. So, right now we're kind of in this nice little lull. Generally, for the industry in general, heating oil season's largely over. Driving season hasn't started. Memorial Day starts driving season. July 4th, indicates really sort of the peak for summer driving and for summer travel.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're only going to see demand continue to grow and accelerate this issue. We are seeing some demand destruction occur right now, so that is helping. People are choosing not to drive or not to travel. People are not investing as much, and so you are seeing some of these things that will help curtail it. But the reality is that if the current conditions persist, an oil shortage is in our future, in our very near future, most likely.
So, bringing it back to the U.S., do we have worries here?
Yeah, as we've said many times before, the U.S. is a net exporter of oil. So the good news is that we do sort of have, I would call it almost a right of first refusal, meaning that the oil is going to want to stay here rather than leave. The question is, they're willing to pay for it. And then the question there becomes, how high can the price go? Typical supply and demand would say, at some point you get the price. But when demand outstrips supply, and there is no point of equilibrium. So the real question here is, how do you market something where there is a need for it that's greater than the supply for it? So, the sky's the limit for prices here, really. Oil is a necessity. So, it'll be very interesting to see where it goes and what the U.S. does about it, quite honestly. One thing the U.S. could do is revisit the export ban.
Right.
Obviously, we produce more oil than we need. So if you keep it all in the U.S., that would drive prices down and we'd be fully supplied. But you're doing that at the expense of your neighbors and generally people in Europe. So it does become interesting. Our relationship with Europe is a little strained right now from what the administration seems to be indicating with NATO and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, maybe that is setting up for something like this. Also, the whole oil drilling in the U.S. would not benefit from that. I mean, they would rather be able to sell anywhere in the world for the
Really?
highest possible
Right.
price. And so the whole sort of drill baby drill crowd would say that you want to let the free market prevail because that will increase the amount of
Right.
drilling and increase the profits for those
Right.
companies and the incentive to do so. So it's going to be very interesting how the administration, if we do get to this point of an oil shortage, what are its next steps? What are its plans? I think we've seen that they hold their cards pretty close to their chests. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what's going to happen here.
Okay. Finally, Joel, what are you seeing here in the Northeast?
Yeah, it's been the same story we've seen for a while here. The DOEs last week showed the same thing. Draws everywhere across the board, particularly in Pad 1, which is us up here in
Right.
the Northeast.
Yep.
We're seeing cargoes are continuing to go right by New York Harbor and head over to Europe, head over to Africa. We've even saw something leave the Gulf Coast and go all the way to Australia. So things that you don't normally see are occurring, meaning that everyone really wants their oil. And costs remain high. We're seeing competitive behaviors in the market. I'm sure people are seeing some suppliers are no longer pricing in the market. Some suppliers are fully exiting the market. As we see these rolls come with the backwardation, you're seeing all kinds of behavior that you don't normally see. What's good for us, again, we said about it earlier, we're in a little bit of a demand lull here. Heating season's over, driving season hasn't started. Pothole and construction season is kind of just starting at this
Yep.
point. So,
Yep.
we're starting to see some of the diesel demand pick up for that. Overall, we're kind of at an okay point right now. But again, in the next few weeks, it'll be very telling. And, the thing is, the whole system right now is very fragile. People are running on very lean inventories. So again, the only thing I can say is, don't get caught on the wrong side of this. Continue to be patient. Listen to the news, talk to your reps, work with a supplier you trust. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a collaborative effort to get through this. But it is going to get very real if this continues at the pace it's going right now. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here.
Right. So do you have any good news before we sign out?
I guess the good news is that, if you look out there, Sprague continues to deliver. It's been a challenging environment. Our supply team has done a phenomenal job of keeping our terminals wet, keeping our customers wet. The costs are through the roof. So, I know it's tough for people. Prices are high. The flat price is high. The diffs are high. That's just the reality of the world we're in right now. But through that all, what we've seen from our terminal operations people, from our supply side, and from our management and our leadership, quite honestly, is just a dedication towards keeping our primary markets wet and keeping our customers happy. So, we're going to continue to do the best we can on that side of it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me, Kristine.
You're welcome. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out our latest special feature, an interview with Sprague's chairman, Dave Glendon, available now on our YouTube channel.
Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday with another Refined Products Review. Refine your insight.
Feel your success. So let's bring this back to the U.S., Joel. Do we have any worries here? Do I have to do this without my paper?
Well, if you look at me while you're talking, yes, we have to do it again.
All right.
Don't make faces at
I'm
me.
sorry. All right. So let's bring it back to the U.S. Are we going to see shortages here? Is that no? We're going to do.
Just carry on.
I know. Well, that wasn't the word. It was worries. Okay. All righty. Joel, I am so sorry.
That's all right.
So when does the shortage of oil? I'm sorry.